What is going on? Welcome back to Financial Journey. So today we're going to talk to you about Lucid, give you a quick overview of some of the current data points, go over the latest EV stats, as well as go over what I feel to be the best top 3 questions to ask Peter for this upcoming earnings. Before we get into any of that, make sure to hit that thumbs up. And with that, let's get right to it. So Lucid surprisingly did close green and above a very strong resistance point. So I'm going to talk all about that, but it closed 0.83% in the green, 20.6 million shares being traded. 25.5 is the average. These are some of the transactions that did occur today on the secondary market. So a little bit more attention coming from institutions. So I think overall that's generally a positive sign. There was no news, no SEC filings, nothing like that as far as Lucid today. So it was just the broader market and of course the hope essentially of rate cuts occurring in September. So I think initially the Fed said that dependent on the data that they might actually raise rates, which caused a significant sell-off across the board. And then right after that you had basically the Feds come around, do a 180 and say that they might be cutting rates, or at least the vote is as a consensus for September. So that is what now is fueling the broader market. Based off of this, I'm not really sure unless there was something specific to another EV that caused this sell-off right here, but I haven't been able to find any news, nothing like that. It wasn't shorts, so who knows. But as far as the latest EV stats that just came out, so it shows as of February 2024, so March results, it does show on a global scale 3% EV sales. So I think that's a good sign. China's sales are down though 9%, and then Europe is up 10%, US is up 11%, so an 8.8% share. So more and more demand is coming out of the States. And surprisingly, it's even outpacing now China. So the States seems to be a good place to be, in my opinion. And I think the only thing that's really holding Lucid back is a lower priced vehicle. So again, might be something to potentially pose as a question to Peter, just to ensure that mid-size SUV, so the lower price one, I think they did slate it for the tail end of 2026, is still on schedule, because I think Lucid will be able to capitalize off of the demand associated to SUVs as well as just the overall EV demand. So hopefully that should really help. As far as shorts though, another new all-time high today, 32.35% of the free float being shorted. Utilization is 98.45. And right now, or I guess today, shorts did increase 875,000 shares, bringing the grand total to 286.46 million shares, and then cost to borrow average is 52.05. I did a video yesterday, and like I've already brought up, Lucid is the most heavily shorted EV out there. And the reason why I'm bringing that up again is because oddly, there was an analyst that gave a rating on Rivian, and they did cite that it was a squeeze play, as crazy as that sounds. So it'd be kind of good to see an analyst, especially after Lucid's upcoming Q1 earnings, to actually say that Lucid is a squeeze play. So I don't know. Let me know your thoughts on that as well. Why the hell do you think shorts are constantly increasing in Lucid? I don't know why. I get that Lucid is burning through a lot of cash, as is Rivian, but like 32.35% of the free float, that's just like, someone has a vendetta. Obviously, I have brought that up in the past. Some notable comments. Someone thinks it's either Elon, potentially even the PIF, just shorting its own company just to benefit from the downside. Like, do you realistically think it's Elon, or do you think it's the bigger names like BlackRock, Vanguard? Like, what's your thoughts? But over and above that though, going over some data, starting off with options, before I go over the top 3 questions that I feel should be really asked, to Peter at least. So $314,000 in calls, 1.82 million in puts. Sentiment wise, 68% of all the options being done today were bearish. So despite Lucid kind of really moving up on the technical stance, clearly people are anticipating for a further downtrend. Of the call options that were being purchased, there's a consensus for it to be above 250 by the end of next week, or even more so this week. And then looking at puts, you do see a consensus for it to be sub $2. So more of a broader pullback. And one thing that just came out right now was Netflix and their earnings. So Netflix so far right now is down 4.62%. That is only because they did say that going forward, I think starting in 2025, they're no longer going to be giving updates on their member growth or subscription, sorry. Their actual numbers itself were very, very good and impressive. So in my opinion, I think Netflix and their results will really propel the the broader market higher at least tomorrow. We'll just have to wait and see. Of course, the conference call is going on as we speak, and it looks like it's selling off a little bit more. But like I said, big money was getting into Lucid a little bit more than the last several days. Dark pool was rather quiet in all honesty, especially again comparing it to the last several trading days. So I think right now Lucid's getting more and more attention from institutions, and like I said, even over this last little bit, it has been doing rather well compared to even Tesla. So pulling this up, obviously it's not doing that well in comparison to the S&P, but let's pull up good old Tesla. So Tesla over this last 1 week is down 10.14%, and Lucid is for the most part flat. So I think big money is starting to gravitate and seeing the value with Lucid, especially based on that article that came out yesterday about their technology, increasing the range and just the price. So Lucid, even though like it's really bad and crappy with marketing and whatever else, I think there's a lot of attention being sought due to the underlying product. So I think that's a good sign. But still, with this upcoming earnings, I still do feel that it is absolutely key that us as retail ask the right questions to Peter, and not just about Apple. Like, as much as I think, given the circumstances, like everyone wants a Lucid Apple partnership, with what was just announced with Apple about them kind of cutting Project Titan, I really hope that we do not actually waste our votes and have that as one of the main questions asked to Lucid. But still, getting right to it though, the questions that I feel that are key is this. So China, it's been a very long time since we've heard about that. Even though based on this stats, China did go down, there is still a lot of demand out there. So I feel, what is their plan with China, or even just that general area? Like, are they still planning on entering that? Because I remember, was it beginning of 2023, they were hiring a lot of positions out of Taiwan, but we've never really heard exactly what that was for. So I think in reality, asking about China is absolutely key. And I brought up time and time again, really hope that we ask some question as far as ESS, because that is going to be a very big money maker for Lucid. And a lot of EV companies, and plus just other companies in general, are starting to focus on this because it is going to be a very profitable business. So why wouldn't Lucid want a piece of that pie, especially with the PIF and Saudi Arabia really investing on their infrastructure to accommodate for ESS? So in my opinion, this is a must ask. And then of course the very obvious one is gravity. Just like, obviously we'd have to word it correctly, but just generally, are they planning on like launching it on schedule? Is there any hiccups? Like, as far as the name, like what's the deal with the name? Like, anything to do with more clarity for the gravity, I think would be really helpful for the stock price. So in my opinion, so the gravity, ESS, and China are three things that we really do need to ask to Lucid. So based on where it did close at $2.44, it was able to get above this S2. So 243, once again, similar to what I mentioned yesterday, is going to be a very strong key point to watch for. So right now it is a pretty good support. So the next target is going to be that $2.64. And so yeah, that's something to kind of keep in mind on the actual chart itself. So today was more of a consolidation zone. You do see a nice bullish deviation starting to form. That's on the stochastic. And plus, aside from that, it is still oversold. So I think this is why you are seeing a lot of institutions somewhat starting to look at Lucid a little bit more, despite the lack of news, maybe just last minute optimism for their upcoming earnings. And I have been monitoring, there hasn't been any changes for any analysts with their estimates. So I'll keep you updated for that. But number of retail investors were getting in today, and you can tell that based off the momentum indicator. So even though Lucid is at $2.45, which 1 year ago, I don't think anyone would have realistically predicted for it to get to these levels, but the fact that we are here might be a dream come true to some investors, so they can obviously average down appropriately. And depending on your time horizon, Lucid, especially based on this earnings, and if we do ask the right questions, you'll have a very clear indication of what will be coming in the future, such as China. If they say, you know what, we were looking at China, it's just not advantageous, I would accept that because Lucid is very good at going where demand is. And if they find it not really worthwhile, then so be it. ESS, I feel like that is one thing that they really do need to focus on, because they did already state that they have a prototype number 2. They've already leased land associated to that. So it would make sense for them to really pivot towards that, but what do I know? Don't forget to hit that thumbs up and subscribe. I always greatly appreciate that. And as usual, take advantage of this promo. As I always say, link in the description below and also the comments to get your 7 fractional shares of the Meg 7, even though Tesla's kind of crapping the bed a little bit. But with all that, appreciate all of you watching.